Hello from Lisbon. We've just been at Web Summit all of this past week, and we're giving a quick report on the areas of interest that we both sort of found most interesting from Web Summit. So for me, there was a lot of discussion around the power and impact of technology and whether it's going to affect the world for the good and make the world a better place. There's clearly growing awareness around just how pervasive technology is in the world, and that it's also presenting a major danger to us if we don't use it correctly. So what was interesting was that there's growing awareness, but not a lot of answers. So, for instance, there was one interesting talk from Alexander Nix, who runs Cambridge Analytica, and there's clearly a lot of concern around the way the company is providing data for presidential elections and the way it can influence the populace and change our minds by providing us with media that can influence us one way and not the other. So that was just one example of technology that can be used negatively, and that there's due concern as to how we can use it for making the world better off. So the ethics of technology was particularly of interesting for me. Over to Tom.
So from my side, data, as Henry's mentioned, was a kind of key theme that I took away. As a CEO or as a sort of startup CEO, it's important to think about data as a kind of central repository. I think every startup founder has to think about data for marketing and for their own value and to develop it. It cannot be ignored in the 21st century. As Henry said, first data-driven election, seeing Trump win, you can just see the power of it and the impact on democracy. The McKinsey Insights team mentioned a few kind of key characteristics around startups, which included network effect software, which creates zero marginal cost, subscription models, data again, and security concerns. I think for the startup, network effects software and subscription models are all areas that we need to think about, because that's where you can make a mega business. I didn't speak to anybody. I was listening to another talk about from the Asana guy, and he was talking about whether the tech industry is growing up. Lots of discussion around Silicon Valley just providing products for the wealthy millennials, convenient kombucha. We need the startup industry or the tech industry to grow up. There is a trend towards meaning, which we think is good. Every startup must have a vision. I had another kind of set of conversations around innovation with corporates, and finally, the corporates seem to be growing up and realizing that innovation can only be done in the sort of startup tech scene. They can't try and keep it internally. I think this is a great trend, and there's a lot of positivity around incubators and accelerators. Final point from my side is wealth inequality, equally combined with a massive jobs problem as a result of huge automation. How are we going to solve that? Going back to Henry's point around ethics, a lot of unanswered questions. And that's it from a sunny Lisbon from Henry and I.
Very good. Thank you.